Hey folks, this is Steve Head and this is the Post Movie Podcast. My co-host John Black and I recorded an episode a couple of hours ago, and I wanted to do a short intro because we're using new equipment, or I'm using new equipment, and somewhere along the line in the recording or in the saving of the audio or in the conversion of the audio, I don't know, something happened. There are some pings and pops and noises, glitchy things. Anyway, you'll notice them in the episode, and I just wanted to say that we know about it and we're going to try and fix it. Just got to, get used to this new equipment. So my apologies for the glitchy things. Let's get on with it.
Fellers, let's go.
Man, I got to tell you, this last week was a lot of shit.
High tech,
trying to put together
high-tech
all
nightmare.
This stuff. And listen to this, okay? We finally get to recording, and they're fucking doing maintenance work right outside the door of the apartment. So you can hear the vacuum, the hammering.
People are used to the.
I mean, it's just like perfect. It's perfectly imposing on the time that, like, after all this trouble, like days for me to get all this equipment, microphones, mixer, other things I don't even know the name of.
Yeah.
And
it beats Panera though. There's no sudden espresso grinder or baby crying. There are no babies crying in this episode. This is a baby-free, baby-free episode.
I'm feeling very fortunate, but just it's so friggin' typical that all the noise and stuff outside them. But then again, we haven't heard this back, so maybe people listening to this aren't hearing a damn thing.
Yeah,
maybe they won't.
They'll turn us off. All right, let's get going.
On this episode, we're going to talk about 30 Minutes or Less, which is basically the main movie I've seen this week. And but we've also got.
I can't believe you didn't go to The Help.
No,
I mean, it's just your kind of movie.
I've had some major computer problems this week. But what with the new audio equipment and the computer failing and
any excuse, right?
This podcast is being recorded on a computer that is almost 10 years old. It has operating software. It is recording, and that is all that is really necessary.
It's a Tandy battery operated from Radio Shack.
It's a compact. What do they call those? It's Commodore 64.
Yeah, we're recording. This is being broadcast on an old Atari system. We're going to play Frogger during the whole thing. 30 minutes or less.
And we're sitting next to the window overlooking about a block away from Washington Square. So periodically people may hear a T train pass by. So
they'll be fine.
You won't hear that.
No, it's not. The microphones aren't that good.
Inaugural new equipment podcast. So this week we've got 30 Minutes or Less and Final Destination 5.
Yes.
And which I did not see.
Doesn't matter. Did you see any of them? Did you see any of them? It's the same freaking movie. It is. No. It is. It's just waiting to see how they'll kill people in interesting ways. Although, it made me think that, we've bitched a lot about 3D.
Yeah.
And, not only they charge extra, but most of the 3D we see sucks. Remember that? What was it? Movie Giant...
right. Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans and all the crappy... Okay, so why is it that the best 3D I've seen has been Piranha 3D, Jackass 3D...
Step Up 3D.
Step Up 3D.
That's pretty good.
Final Destination 5 in 3D. And last night's feature, Fright Night in 3D. Had great 3D.
I wanted to see that, but I was in computer hell yesterday for hours and hours just trying to get this stuff. I bought a new hard drive. It didn't work. I trying to fix the old hard drive. It just...
But why do you think it's horror movies and a bad dance flick that have the best 3D?
I don't know.
I mean, there was a scene last night, and this isn't a spoiler or anything, but there's a scene last night where one of the vampires burns up in the sun. And there's pieces of vampire floating around, and it really looked cool. I actually caught myself.
You hear the vacuum cleaner?
No, not at all.
They're like perfectly working outside after hours and hours and hours. Actually, I can say 5 days of setup to just try and get a situation where I can actually learn how to use this stuff and record.
But
Fuck you.
Don't worry about it. You can't tell. People just think it's ambiance. But anyway, when the vampires would burn in the sun, like when you burn paper, there's that stuff floating around. Yeah. This stuff was floating off the screen to the point where you really wanted to reach out and touch it. It was great 3D. So I'm just curious that supposedly bad films have great 3D.
In answer to your question, I think it's because they're designed that way.
Yeah.
They're fundamentally filmed as 3D, and that's how they spend.
Yeah, it's not some post-production slam thing to make some extra money.
Well, 3D cameras typically aren't the most mobile cameras, so you can't swing them around and do all the crazy stuff that directors like to do these days. But when you got something like Glee 3D, which I haven't seen, but got a good review today in the New York Times, and the cameras aren't moving like they would in a feature, so it gives you like the cameras in Step Up 3D, they were locked off for performances and a lot of the shots.
Right. There was a scene in Fright Night where the camera's moving down a hallway and it gets shaky. The things go out of focus, and it's because the camera's moving. Once it stops and the body flies out of the room, you're like, hey, that's cool.
Man, I wanted to see that. I regretted missing it last night.
But we can.
Good?
Yeah. I'm going back Thursday. I'm going to see it again.
It comes out next week, right?
Yeah, next Friday. We'll be reviewing it then. But Final Destination 5, the same thing. It's like the first death.
Which is usually something elaborate.
They're on a bridge.
Like a 10, 20-minute...
They're on a bridge, and the bridge stops to collapse. Yeah. And the first victim is a girl who falls off the bridge. And the 3D effect of watching her fall to her is pretty cool. Yeah. And then you also realize that there's a boat coming right beneath her, and of course she impales herself on the mast of the boat, and the guts just go fan out at you. It's hilarious. Bob Tremblay, who writes for CNC, I've never heard him laugh as hard in any comedy, any other movie as he did in this movie. This isn't
horror for scare; it's horror for
gore. It's just gore and
dismemberment and
but that's fine. It's
decapitation humor.
You're not. No one's going to go into Final Destination 5 thinking, I wonder what this is, because the whole audience has seen 1 through 4.
It's like death is a sideshow.
Yeah, in fact, they show the major death from the first 4 movies at the end. Yeah. With some badly added 3D. But the thing about the 3D, it's not just that they throw guts and everything else in your face, is that it somehow adds to the atmosphere, because the whole setups is what is fun, because you go into a room and there's like a screw falls out of a fan and lands on the floor, and you're like, oh, that's going to be part of the death, or there's a water puddle, that's going to be included, and then they're just playing with it because the screw doesn't do anything, it's the water, and next thing you know there's a gymnast who's broken in 3.
So you enjoyed Final Destination?
I had a blast.
Something you dig.
Yeah, I digged 1 through 4. They're completely forgettable. They're toilet paper movies.
You know what it just inevitably does? They're toilet paper movies?
Yeah, they're disposable.
Okay. It just makes me, like, when you've seen a film that you like, and I'm sitting here listening to you talking about it, and I'm like, oh man, now I'm envious that you got to get out and do that.
Don't be envious of this one. Don't be envious of
the whole. I'm like tied to my computer.
He is literally. We're not on film, but I've tied him to the computer.
It's like that's where the income comes from.
In the future. In the future, we will just put an implant in your brain, Stephen.
Oh man, just getting out and taking a walk yesterday was a pleasure. The other thing was that I had the opportunity to. Well, it's an opportunity I had to pass on, but I was going to talk with Monty Hellman, director of Two Lane Blacktop, Black Christmas and whatnot. He was in town, and I had to pass because I just couldn't fix all my computer and audio stuff, so that was kind of a bummer.
All right, so let's move on to the movie you did see.
Are you moving on from Monty Hellman?
No, I'm moving on from your. I know you've had a bad week.
My sex story.
Yeah. Now the readers know you've had a bad week. We've covered it.
Glee.
It's time to move on.
Glee. Okay.
No,
I didn't see Glee, but I did like what Stephen Holden said in the New York Times. I want to read it. Okay. This is just the first sentence of Glee. This is what he says the movie is. It's a carbonated, low-calorie, vitamin-packed, high-energy drink that tastes like strawberry bubblegum.
He should have his critic card removed.
It's Glee.
That's the gayest sentence I think I've ever heard.
Well, the movie does deal with with that.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Oh, I'm sure it's
accept who you are.
It's
I'm
a
sure
statement movie of all time. Yeah.
I think everybody leaving that screening should be very happy about.
We couldn't when we were sitting at Friday night. We couldn't find a critic who went. No one had gone.
Really?
Yeah, but I didn't ask everybody.
Well, they're screening it again. Yeah. Maybe,
no, I mean Glee. No one had gone to Glee.
Oh.
No one would, or they wouldn't admit to it. You know.
To go.
Yeah. Well,
Just, you know,
you're a Glee kind of guy.
I've only got through Glee season 1, although I've seen the season 2 episode with Rocky Horror, and those kids are super talented. John's looking at me like this conversation isn't going any further.
They're just super talented kids.
It's like a musical thing, you know.
Yeah,
it's like,
hasn't it been done 100 million times before?
Yeah,
with Fame
I'm sure the movie's a lot of fun. I was surprised it was 90 minutes.
Yeah,
call the running time.
Because 30 minutes or less now to put us back like is only 85 minutes. Although here's
that seems super short. That was actually longer than Jonah Hex.
This is the crazy thing. So it's called 30 minutes or less, and the screening was 45 minutes late when I went to it.
Yeah, well, I think it actually was more like an hour at that point. I mean, we fucking sat there.
Yeah.
Sat there, and basically sat there. We
chatted
to give everybody an idea as to what it's like. We'll just insert 45 minutes of silence right now.
Yeah. You know, and somehow would that be better than the movie?
You know, there were some journalists that weren't going to wait it out.
Well, Greg got up. Greg, who's been a guest on the show, got up to leave, and that's just when it started.
Yeah,
as he was heading out the door.
They got a big laugh out of that. You know, I want to say I enjoyed the film.
You
because
did.
I dig Danny McBride.
Yeah.
And yes, people consider him like this poster child for infantilism. You know, in the same way that Will Ferrell's immature or John C. Reilly is immature, but Danny McBride's got it down, and it's hysterical.
Yeah.
It's hysterical.
I think he's a one-trick pony.
Well, he may be, but he's very funny.
Yeah, I'm just tired of
Kenny Powers, man.
He's Kenny Powers. He's the same guy in Your Highness. He's the same guy in.
But it's funny.
Not to me. Not to me. Man. That's my problem. The same with Jesse Eisenberg. He's a one-trick pony. Well, he's that shaky little chihuahua who bomb-strapped to his chest.
Okay, Jesse Eisenberg may be a one-trick pony, but you know what? People, say that him and Michael Cera have their thing, their limited range. But what Jesse Eisenberg has is when he's on screen, his character does have emanate an intelligence. Like he seems to know what the other people don't know what's going on the screen. It's like we kind of.
In the movie?
Well, he's an idiot, but still, he's smarter than it's a Dumb and Dumber situation.
Yeah, it's not hard to be smarter than this gang of idiots. Why don't you
30 minutes or less
plot?
Jesse Eisenberg, he plays Nick, and Nick is a pizza delivery guy who has an incredible talent for driving very, very fast and getting pizzas where they need to be most of the time in 30 minutes or less. Although the beginning of the movie, he's challenged with some college kids who play on the knowledge that they're just outside the 30-minute zone.
Yeah.
And they put in the order so they get their free pizza. But anyway, Jesse Eisenberg is pedal to the metal. Great driver. Of course, that's obviously going to come into play with the car chase in the film.
Car chases.
Right. Well, he's kind of jumping to the other story. Danny McBride is the son of a rich military guy, a complete asshole, played by Fred Ward. Kind of like if Chet from Weird Science had grown up, this is what you get, Fred Ward. And so his dad has won $1 million, or he did
$10 million.
Was it $10 million?
Yep, because you get the big check on the wall.
Oh, right. You're right. It's $10 million. I think he's only down to like $2 million.
Yeah, that's why
he walks into the driveway. Another car, Dad. So the frivolous expenditures and the constant hate that's being thrown at Danny McBride's character's way. What's his name? Dwayne. Thrown Dwayne's way, and Dwayne's buddy. Travis, played by Nick Swardson, another Dumb and Dumber situation. His buddy Travis has this his innate ability, sort of center explosives,
right,
and flamethrowers, and that's his that's his talent. So they decide after this, I think they go to a strip club, and in the midst of small talk with one of the
small talk and lap dances.
Yeah, the stripper says, you know, the stuff
that'd be
you're
great
saying about hating your dad and wanting to off him, I know somebody who'll do this for you for $100,000.
I'm sorry to aside, but I think if I ever write my autobiography, I've got a new title: Small Talk and Lap Dances.
There you go.
But anyway,
you buy that?
Yeah, I live it.
He goes for it. You know, of all the multitude of compounding stupid decisions in this movie, he thinks that if he can come up with 100 quickly, he can get Michael Pena to assassinate his father.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Pena, very funny in this movie, is just stereotypical psycho Puerto Rican guy, I guess.
Could you understand what he was saying? Half the time I couldn't understand a word he was saying.
I cut them slack.
I guess
Michael Pena is a terrific actor, and when he's doing comedy, he's funny. So they hatch this plan to get $1 million get $100,000 by robbing a bank, but they're not going to rob the bank. They kidnap Jesse Eisenberg, strap a bomb on his chest that apparently will detonate at if Dwayne calls a number and the cell phone will detonate the thing. But anyway, he's got
10 hours.
10 hours?
Yeah.
I thought he had 24.
No, I think he's only 10.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So Eisenberg is put in the situation where he has to rob the local bank, and he enlists his buddy Chet, played by Aziz Ansari, who is really pissed at Nick because Chet has found out that Nick had gotten over on Chet's sister, his twin sister. So it's like the
like
most
sleeping with
repelling
him.
thought to me is like he says is that the fact that it's like you're screwing me, you're screwing with my sister. So anyway, his sister is Nick's love interest, and then comedic shit ensues when they try and rob the bank, and it's a trifling film of about a little more than 80 minutes that ends abruptly, but I found it consistently funny.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking at me like, nope.
No, I didn't.
I'm receiving pain.
No, it wasn't pain. It's just this is just aggressively stupid. You know, it's all based on car crashes and guys punching each other and saying shit that just rudeness. I just didn't dig it. But I'm not a fan of any of the four guys, really. So I think that's a big problem if you're not a fan of the four guys.
John just saw me pull out Cedar Rapids. I needed to, off the shelf. I needed to do that because I couldn't remember Miguel Arteta's name.
So I'm not a fan of these guys as comedians. Like I said, I think they're all pretty much one note, and they just played that note at screaming loud volume to me. Couple of giggles, but they were stuff I saw in the trailer.
You didn't have a good time. I thought it was very funny.
It's 85 minutes. I don't care.
Well, do you watch Parks and Recreation?
Nope.
Aziz Ansari on that is he's kind of built this character of this like this average guy that wants to be a clubber, and so whenever he's on screen, he's sort of got this foundation. That I kind of know where he's coming from. So whenever I see him, it's actually really, I think he's a really funny guy. Jesse Eisenberg, he's mousy and shit, but I found it funny. I'm basically admitting to you that, I know the movie kind of sucks, but it's funny.
That's fine.
I enjoyed it.
Humor's a matter of taste. I understand that, but this just wasn't my taste. There was something wrong. Something off, and it was kind of like watching Cowboys and Aliens. I don't think the two stories meshed well. Mm-hmm. I know there's the story of the Eisenberg and Aziz, and then there's the two other guys. And yes, the stories do weave together, but we're given big chunks of time of just the two and two, and when they come together, it just didn't work for me. So.
Directed by? Oh, go ahead.
No, my favorite part of the movie was Fred Ward, I think.
Really?
Well, I like him as an actor. But here's the funny thing: when the title came up, when his name came up on the screen, I thought Fred Willard. and so when Fred Ward comes out, I'm like, what's he do? Oh, it's not Fred Willard.
Man, Fred Willard's getting up there. He's looking old.
Fred Ward's looking old, although he's looking kind of old man buff too, which is kind of scary.
I think of him as Gus Grissom from The Right Stuff.
Sure.
You know? What was that other one? The Adventures of Remo Williams.
Yeah.
That's when he maybe possibly had a career as a leading man.
Well, he was also in Henry and June, the first movie to get the NC-17 rating. A piece of crap. But
is that with Uma Thurman?
Yeah, it was it was The Life of Henry Miller, I think. But it was the first movie to get the NC-17. So,
John, these things you know.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's directed
you spent all this time setting up all this equipment for us, and I'm sitting here singing "Cat Scratch Fever" into the microphone just because it's all I can do.
Well, this is important information, knowing which is the which film was the first to receive the NC-17 rating. Yeah, which I think I can.
We're at trivia night at some bar.
Received the PG-13, wasn't it? Indiana Jones and the Last Temple of Doom. I think that's the one that inspired the PG-13 rating or something like that.
I'm old enough to remember when there was a rating called M. M, but mature audiences.
I don't remember that. I'm only a couple years behind you. When was M?
Oh,
X was Midnight Cowboy. I remember that.
Well, that was the first mainstream movie to get an X. Oh no, there was like some old horror movies back in the 50s that were given X, but that was like more for just mature, and then they changed it to M. I remember seeing an old John Wayne movie that was rated M. I thought I was so cool because I was like 12 at the time. Well, I'm seeing an M movie. I must be mature. So,
the movie is directed by Ruben Fleischer, who made Zombieland.
Yep.
which was a hit, and it kind of has that, feeling of Zombieland. This is it's like you could look at this like a college friend's fantasy. All the shit that goes on in this movie, and it's really kind of a bromance in a way between Nick and Chet, and it's even sort of a legendary bromance between Dwayne and Trevor. Because they both they
love each other,
which is basically it's not even suggested. It's just totally out there in the sense that that's what. Fred Ward says to the guys when he finds them watching Friday the 13th.
Yeah, in 3D, acting out in front of the screen.
Yeah. So anyway, Ruben Fleischer, he directed the film, and I wanted to say that. So I guess Zombieland was his first film, but he got his start, or he basically I think made his mark as a director because he did what director Miguel Arteta told him to do, which is a lot of people break into the industry by directing short films. Arteta told Fleischer, he said, do this, direct one short film every month for a year and then come and talk to me. Don't talk to me if you're just going to direct a short film, get it into
or a music
the
video.
Whole process of it. One short film every month for an entire year, and he did that.
Really?
And he basically created a relationship with Mikel Arteta that helped him connect with other people in the industry.
Have you ever seen any of them? Any of the shorts?
No, I have not.
That'd be cool. It should be a DVD extra.
And they were. I listened to an interview with Arteta on KCRW's Business, and they talking about Sundance Film Festival's short film program, and that's where he had revealed that filmmakers who do this they get into the process of being a working filmmaker.
Right.
Not just doing a one-off, and it's like we know that you're serious. You can actually pull that off, and it doesn't have to be like this amazing production. It could be any small thing, a video, something you filmed on your camera phone. Just do a short film every month.
Like Cyrus.
So he was crazy determined.
That would make so much more sense to me than someone who does like music videos, because then you get a movie that's edited like a music video, and it doesn't work. I mean, you need someone who's telling stories on film, telling a story, not just capturing the band singing their song. Yeah,
and it's a very hard process. It's like,
and it's such a different way of it's such a different art form than music video, or commercials. But we get guys who they directed a music video and then they do a commercial, and next thing you know, they've got a $10 million film.
It never changes in the sense that we we know, in speaking with lots of filmmakers, you know that like many of them in short films, and they have these minor obstacles, but when they're making like a film with a big budget behind it, the obstacles never go away, and this has sort of been like consistent throughout film history. I was talking with someone yesterday about Cocteau's Beauty and the Beast. And the pressures he had on that film were just like insane. Like one day left in the studio, he probably in actuality they'll only be able to film 3 scenes, and he needs to do 10. It's things that you think will be there are just going to be like missing. Like they need some scenes with horses. Some corral guy comes and takes the horses away. It's just all these little things. It just as you grow in your career, you find that. The daily obstacles just don't go away. So I think the lesson is you just like Fleischer, you just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
You just plow through it no matter what, and you can succeed. And
I think because you have that experience on shorts and with obviously limited budgets, you learn that the problem isn't always to throw money at it. A lot of
ingenuity
we see
like crazy.
A lot of films we see
people helping you.
They have no budget. They it was shot in 10 days when it looks like it was shot over 10, months, or they had no money for to show the monster, so they did something else, or they just have these they get creative because that's all they have. Whereas if you got $100 million budget, if you're Michael Bay, you can just keep filming shit.
Yeah, I guess if you're Michael Bay, he's like he's like the guy that says you can do whatever you want, you can throw money at it and solve the problem.
Yeah.
But, it's just people shouldn't let these little tiny things stop them from making even, if you're letting something stop you, if you want to be a filmmaker, if you're letting something stop you for a 1-minute movie or a 5-minute short film, then what are you going to do when you got, a $10 million budget and a crew of 30 waiting for you?
Yeah.
And you have to film a scene of dead deer and you don't have a dead deer. So Cocteau had to basically put everything. They were able to get themselves a
dead deer.
A dead deer.
Yeah. Well, it's like, how did you start in newspapers? I started typing obituaries in the Watertown Sun, and then I was a beat reporter for years. And then
obituaries, huh?
Yeah. Oh God, you don't want that job. You think it's bad making a typo in a movie review or in a story?
Hey,
you make a typo.
I never even thought of that. In
you make a typos in someone's. Yeah, you're hurting an entire family because this thing they're going to press in their memory book, his name's misspelled. So yeah, and it's that's how I. But that's the same thing. Is that learn how to write by writing?
Yeah.
You learn how to review by seeing movies and by writing.
The daily grind of it, and I think that's what Arteta was emphasizing is that there's actually a daily grind to filmmaking and the constant ingenuity of it. And so apparently Ruben Fleischer has got that fire burning under his heels, and he's made a couple of movies now. And Zombieland was a pretty good way to kick things off. It was pretty.
Do you know what's next for him?
The New York Times. I read the New York Times review today of 30 Minutes or Less, and I can't remember the title. It's like some 50s war film or something like that. I didn't bring it with me. Do I know what's next? I read it, and I can't remember. My mind has a freaking trap door in the back.
Yeah.
Where everything's just jettisoned, man.
It's not a trap door, Steve. It's a gaping hole. Things just roll out.
Yeah, if only I could retain all that I read. I can just like run at it. Man, let's move on.
All right.
Picks of the week. Watching what?
I have one. And this was a treat. It's called, and we talked about it a little bit the other day, the Frankenstein Syndrome.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
And it's directed by a guy named Sean Tretta, Tretta. It's based on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, but it's about these scientists who are doing stem cell research, trying to come up with, a miracle drug that they can, you're missing a kidney? Here, we'll inject this in you and you grow a kidney back. You're missing an arm? Boom, we'll inject you and you grow your arm back. All right, so that's just the thin plot. So they're working on developing this thing. They think they've got a sample that's ready. And what happens is that they have this, troop of girls that, runaways, that they get pregnant.
Okay, so that's a running theme in your...
It is, everything, in my daily life. They inject these girls, get them pregnant, take their stem cells. One of the girls dies on the when they're trying to retrieve her eggs. And they decide, well, here's a human subject. Let's see if this stuff works. And they inject her, and she comes back to life, but damaged, seriously damaged.
So, Frankenhorror.
Yeah, Frankenhooker. And they have to put her down. And then this big security guard, played by, I will find the guy's name, but this big security guard decides that when he finds out that they kill her, he's going to blackmail the company into giving him money or I'll talk. They kill him, inject him with the drug. He takes to it very well and starts developing powers. ESP, this kind of thing. And, I won't talk anymore about the plot because it kind of spoils it. But he becomes the Frankenstein monster of the movie. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing: it's low budget, yes, but and it's really gory, yes. But there's a tension, and I realized, when it was over, my hands were like balled up in fist, and I was like, "Wow, that's cool." I can't remember the last time a horror movie made me do anything.
This is not a
laugh.
comedy. This is
no. This is pretty much a straight on horror movie. Pretty good acting. Lots of gore.
What's it called again?
The Frankenstein Syndrome. I highly recommend looking for it.
Not to be confused with the China
Syndrome or the Frankenstein, or any other Frankenstein like that piece of crap with Kenneth Branagh. And
so this is a chemically induced Frankenstein.
Yes. So I would recommend it.
And it's available now.
Yes.
On DVD.
It is.
Man, I'm recommending. Okay. I digged Fox and the Hound.
Yay.
And I saw it when I was, I don't know, when did it come out? 81?
Was it the 10th anniversary, 25th anniversary, something like that? It's some anniversary.
Yeah, I saw it when I was in high school.
Okay. All right.
And it was actually a success for Disney.
Yep.
It did well in 81, and I think, that was sort of at the precipice of the Disney Dark Age for animation.
It was... They explain in the extras this movie was a casting of the torch because was it the old nine old men?
Yeah.
This is the last film they worked on, and it's the first film that the guys who went on to make Beauty and the Beast and Lion King and all those animators.
Yeah.
So it's like this passing of the torch movie for them. It's good. I liked it. I didn't love it the way I usually love Disney movies. It was good.
It was endearing. Sarah and I were watching it earlier today.
It's a puppy and a fox. How can it not be endearing?
I couldn't. I wanted to watch the whole thing. I haven't. I didn't get to the last half hour.
Do you want to know how it ends?
Pissing me off. Well, it got to the part where the old dog, Chief, fell off the bridge. Just to do a short version of the story. Little baby fox, his mom is killed at the beginning of the movie, and the fox is taken in by an old lady. There's another fellow living close by, older fellow who has a hound dog that all of a sudden has a new buddy because the owner, an old guy voiced by Jack Albertson, I believe, has dropped off a new hound dog that he's going to train to replace the old fella. So, being young and sprightly, the fox and the hound become friends, not knowing that they're bred to be enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And
so cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of social pressure going on. They grow up.
Well, and it's also it's part of a 2-disc set that has the Fox and the Hound too. And Disney for years would, every time they had a hit, they would in theaters they would rush out a quickie direct-to-video. Lady and the Tramp 2.
Was there an Aladdin 2?
Aladdin 2. The Secret. There was Little Mermaid 2. Right. There's Beauty and the Beast sequels. Yeah. It was just this industry where they cranked these things out. Most of them were crap. But this one this was a story. It's another story of when they're young pups and they run off to the circus and the hound discovers he's got a singing voice and joins up with a troupe of dogs to music. That's not the important part. The girl dog in the sequel is voiced by Reba McEntire. And I was telling you before, I have a sweet spot for Reba McEntire.
What is it about Reba McEntire?
Her accent. It just makes me swoon. I watched that show. I watched her crappy show for years.
And you don't like Danny McBride's accent, but you like
Danny McBride's accent? Danny McBride does not make me swoon, thank God. That would be embarrassing.
She has a sexy drawl.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. Something about her. And she's a redhead.
I haven't seen it.
It's good. Well, the animation's a step down from the original movie because of that straight video crap, but
I was impressed.
Good package.
Or amused that Mickey Rooney voices the the older fox.
Yeah. Wasn't one of the Corys a voice?
Yeah, Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
Corey Feldman played Copper, the young hound dog.
Right. I'm a hound dog.
Yeah, that was that. I remembered the same thing too. I was saying to Sarah earlier that I remember that because it was repeated so often.
It's the one line. I'm the hound dog.
Hound dog. And Kurt Russell as the older Copper. And I'm thinking Mickey Rooney must have been nearing 70 at the time.
Yeah. Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's 90.
Really? Is he still crazy?
You know what's even crazier? Is Ernest Borgnine is 94.
Cool.
The guy was born in 1917. And he was on Saturday Night Live last year, and had
he just wrote a book.
Yeah,
he was in Red. Yeah,
he's looking healthy. I mean, 94, man. Wow. And Mickey Rooney, 90. Strange thing about Wikipedia, man, is when you look up actors from older films, and and you look at their ages and their dates of death, it's just it's a strange way of encompassing someone's life.
Yeah.
Or just being kind of shocked that some of the guys who voiced characters. I was looking at Fox and the Hound on Wikipedia, and the Woodpecker was voiced by the same guy who did Tigger.
Okay.
Similar voice, perhaps.
Paul Winchell?
Very good, John.
Thanks. I'm a Disney baby.
Yeah. Well, he passed away in 2005, and there's and another one of the guys is 80, I think, of the guy who voiced the his buddy.
Yeah.
Something like that. But Wikipedia, to me, man, it's you're automatically just, sometimes I'm checking to see if someone is still alive. Are they still around? So watching Beauty and the Beast, like I said the other day, and there's, the actress is 90 years old, still around.
Oh, the Cocteau? Beauty and the Beast, that lady?
Cocteau, yeah.
We're not talking about
Well,
Disney.
no, not
the Disney Beauty and the
the
Beast.
star, whose name I forget. Not the Disney version, but
Right.
her older. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But
Speaking of Ernest Borgnine and Beauty and the Beast, as part of the, the Brattle has that Elements of Cinema thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still do it, but once a month on Saturdays, some Saturday once a month, they have a free movie. And I saw the Cocteau Beauty and the Beast on the big screen, and it was cool because Ned Hinkle, the director, comes out and gives a little spiel about why it's one of the elements of cinema.
Yeah.
And I also saw Ernest Borgnine's big dramatic role, which is a great movie.
That was real. That was the film that,
to me, he's Commander McHale.
Yeah, I see him that way too.
I grew up as watching McHale's Navy, so when I see him as this sad, dramatic role, it was like, wow.
I don't think I knew that he had
Navy.
won the Academy Award until the mid-'90s.
Yeah.
I had just, not, and I was I was like, wow. But that was, he had said in his interview with TCM that he did a year ago that even at the time, no big deal. On the day after he won the Academy Award, I think he was going to go to Woolworths to apply for a job, and his agent said, "No, you can't do that. You have an Academy Award now." It's not like immediately.
I just love his career because he had he was the friendly, happy Commander McHale, and he was the sad, lonely guy on Marty. But then, how many movies was he just the badass guy, like The Wild Bunch and? I remember
as far as Escape from New York.
Yeah, and Emperor of the North with him and Lee Marvin.
What was that Italian film he made in the early '80s about Super Cop? He made some film called Super Cop about some cop that is exposed to nuclear or whatever and gets superpowers.
The things he'll do for money.
He has made all grades of film.
Yeah, and TV and early pioneer TV stuff.
Borgnine, man.
Hey, because he outaged
Mickey Rooney.
Yeah, I couldn't do a 3-minute show on Mickey Rooney, except he's crazy.
Hound and the Fox and the Hound, man.
Anything else in
I
here?
think it comes out this week.
Yeah, I liked it. I did see that we were talking about last week. Mars Needs Moms.
Yeah,
I wasn't a big fan.
I thought it was a beautiful film.
It looked
great,
just
gorgeous
but
film.
The characters drove me nuts. They just
I
look
didn't
so
feel
creepy.
it that way this time. I mean, I know that there's the Uncanny Valley situation, and it was a motion capture animated film.
Yeah. That was probably my favorite part was the special
And how they look so much like the actors.
Yeah. You know? That was my favorite part, was watching the Blu-ray extras had the movie with the shot with the actors in their bodysuits with all the dots on their face and stuff. Because Seth Green's a riot in the outtakes.
I haven't seen that yet. I'm gonna have to check it out.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
You got anything else? I think all I was going to go with was
not see the rappers.
Fox and the Hound.
No, I'm all set. Let's give the people something to look forward to next week.
I feel like, man, it's sitting here like in these pile of movies, and all we're talking about is Fox and the Hen. Fox and the Hound. Did I just say Fox and the Hen?
Yes, you did.
Fox and the Hound. A Criterion released
Fox and the Hen.
Clouseau's Diabolique from 1955. So
that's a good movie.
I'll be watching that this week. Yeah, that's the original twist ending. I don't know. I'm sure movies had twist endings before that, but give this one as a lot of credit for the twist ending that really frickin' works.
I would love to see that on the big screen. Yeah, I think we're done.
I think we are good. So, hey, listen to our episodes online. We're at post-movie.net. All of them are there. We're also on Facebook, and it's nice to be liked, as we've said many times. And I'm sure there are people out there who dislike us. But,
yeah. That's the email you send to me.
Nice, nice to be liked. And we're also on iTunes, and we got another good review. We got a second really nice review. So
thanks, Mom.
Check it out. We're subscribe on Facebook, and from here on in, things should sound better, unless we get into a serious audio problem situation and we have to record at Panera again. But hopefully not.
I would sell your stock in Panera. We're not going to be there anymore drinking coffee and eating bagels.
I'm so glad that's over. I just can't tell you how. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to, talk after I've eaten and have a cup of coffee and stuff. But man, the cacophony.
The ambiance. Cacophony, ambiance. Yeah, same thing.
I'm done with the ambiance.
Some potatoes.
It's a different kind of ambiance here.
What the fuck is that?
And if you have any questions, send us an email. We're at contact@post-movie.net. And we will actually get back to you. I'm serious.
You will.
Until next time, I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
So long, everyone.
Cat scratch fever. Cat scratch fever. Ba-dum-bum. I almost wrote a story about Ted Nugent this week, and I realized no one I write for gives a flying fuck about Ted Nugent. So I let it go.